Good evening, everyone. My name is Sagar Ganpat Bagal, and today date is 4th October 2021. Today's web topic name is JPA. JPA. What does it mean by JPA? JPA is a Springboard. JPA is a Java specific or for managing the relational data in Java applications. It's allowed to access and persist data between the Java object or classes and relational database. JP is the follow the ORM. ORM means object relational mapping. Mapping, and it said the interface. It is also provide the runtime entity manager API for processing query and transfer transaction on an object against the database. It's used to a platform independence or object oriented query language. It means JPQL means Java persistent query languages. Construct the persistence is covered to three area. uh, JPA persistence API, object relational metadata, and then API itself define in a persistent packages. JPA it's not framework. It's a defined concept for implement. Can be implemented by any query framework. Why JPA can be used for why use for JPA? Because JPA is simpler and clear and lesser labor incentive than GDBC and SQL. Is a handwritten mapping. JP is the suitable for non-performance oriented complex applications. Its main advantage for the JP is JP is cover over the JDBC is that in a JPA is represent the object and classes, while JDBC are represent the data represent the by table and record. It's used for Pojo class is represent the persistent data that simplify the database programming. There is some other advantage for the JPA. JPA means JP is avoid the writing DDL in a database specific diagnost of SQL. The instance of this is allow the JPA mapping its XML or using Java annotations. JP is allowed is used to avoid the writing DML in a database specific diagnost of SQL. JPA allow use to save and load the Java object and graphics without any DML language at all. When we use it for need to performance query for JQL, it's allowed to express the query in a term of JPA entities rather than native or SQL table column, SPI table column. The mainly features of the JPA is for powerful repository and custom object making abstractions. It is support for across the store the persistence. It means the entity of can be particularly partly stored in a MySQL or Nojo means graphic database management system. It is dynamically generated for query methods needs name. Then domain based classes provide for the basic properties. It is support to transparent auditing and possibility to ignorate the custom repository code. And its last is easy to integrate the Spring with Spring framework and with custom namespace. This is the main advantage for the GPA. Then architectures for the GPA. GPA is a source of store the business entity as relational entities. It show the defined Pojo entities and Pojo entities and entity how to manage this entity for the with a relational. The for the classes architecture of JPA describe the core classes in an interface of JPA that is defined that is defined in a Java persistent packages. The Java persistence packages is the first is a persistence. Persistence can be content statics method and object can be entity managing factory instance. Then next is the entity manager factory. It is entity managing factories the factory class entity manager. It is created and managing the multi instance of entity managers. Entity managers means it is a interface. It is the interface is control the persisting operational object. It is work to query instance. This is all about from the JPA. Thank you.